Welcome to a special edition of Meet the Leaders. I'm Dara Wells, and we are in the State Capitol building in beautiful Charleston, West Virginia. We are delighted to have with us Delegate Mick Bates. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, yes.
Okay, so you guys have business going. You started yesterday. You have meetings, more meetings today. Get us up to speed. What have been the big topics of concern?
Well, it's sort of the calm before the storm. So our session here in West Virginia is a 60-day session that starts in January, and today we're here for our interim meetings. So it's really the last working interim meetings before we go back in. We're coming back now after the election. We're still assigning committees and we're dealing with the issues that were carried over from last session. We're dealing with issues related to our insurance for our state workers and the funding of that. That's a big concern. There's a major meeting this afternoon on that with some recommendations that come forth from the governor. And when I'm finished with you this morning, we'll be going into a finance meeting looking at the budget and how West Virginia's had some recovery here over the last 12 months.
You've been very concerned about state budget holes in the past. How are you doing in that department?
Well, we're a little better. So West Virginia's benefited from a stronger national economy. You know, we have some road work going on, and we have some natural gas construction, pipelines, those kinds of things, and people are working a little more in West Virginia. The metallurgical coal market has improved as well. So these are short-term things. We still have large structural issues with the way our West Virginia economy is constructed. And there's discussions about some of the long-term things that we need to address. But in the short term, things aren't as dire as they were in the last two cycles. So that's a little relief.
It is. I can tell from your accent that you're not from around here.
No, so not everybody in Raleigh County, where I'm from, speaks this way. So tends to throw people off a little bit.
You're an Aussie.
Yes, I am. I'm an immigrant to this country. I'm a naturalized citizen. Came here in 1992. Came to West Virginia in 1995. Found a home. Fell in love with it. I adopted them, they adopted me. So in 2014 I was elected to represent my community.
For the first time, and this past time you ran unopposed?
Yeah, so I joke that no one wants the job. So it's a very turbulent time in politics, and so I think that does say something about the work that I've done, and I think it says something about the respect that I've been able to garner from the community. But so you say you run unopposed or run scared. So I wasn't scared, but was still very involved in the electoral process across the state. So I have some responsibilities to help my colleagues in other parts of the state. So I was involved in those things.
You say turbulent times, and I know, of course, we all watch the goings on in Washington, D.C., and it seems like there is no bipartisanship at work. What's it like in West Virginia, especially as a Dem in the legislature?
We've struggled with that too. I mean, that same chaos and to some extent, you know, some of the concerns that we have nationally with corruption and the issues that are going on has come home to West Virginia. So, you know, it's been very contentious and it's been a hyper-polarized environment right now. So, you know, what's different, I suppose, about here than on the national picture is we tend to get to know each other probably a little bit better. We come from our own communities. We're not always at each other's throats because you develop, I think, closer personal relationships than what you do when you're coming from all over the country. So the number's a little bit smaller. So that helps to some extent, but we're dealing with the same kinds of battles that you see in D.C.
There are 100 delegates?
100 delegates, so I'm one of 100 in the House and 34 senators.
Right. So it's a little easier, it's a little smaller.
Yes.
So going forward, what would be your goals, Mick?
Well, I ran initially and got involved in this because you know, I wanted to have my community well represented, and my focus was three things. It was roads, it was drugs and jobs, and that continues to be my focus. I've sort of found my way both in area of finance, but also in healthcare. My professional background, I'm a small business owner, I'm a physical therapist.
Physical therapist. Well, in fact, isn't that what brought you to the States?
Yeah, I was a traveling worker, an immigrant. I was here on a H-1B visa. I was a locum and was all over the United States. So, you know, healthcare issues was what I was introduced me to the legislative process. Right. So I have a real interest in those things as well.
Right, but let's talk more about, you said drugs. We're talking what, opioids?
Yeah, you know, I've been practicing long enough that I was seeing people before we had these pills were on the street, and I saw it basically sweep through our communities, and you know, that's really, and we'd had drug issues prior to that, and there are other drugs we struggle with too. Substance abuse is not isolated to opioids. We had methamphetamine problems prior to that. We've got problems with alcohol abuse. We've got problems with excessive tobacco use as well. But but it's really the problem of opioids, which has now moved on to heroin and fentanyl now,
Right.
and it's destroying, just killing people basically. And we've got to do a better job in terms of getting treatment resources to people than what we have.
Yeah, tell me about your district. You're from Beckley?
From Beckley, yeah, which is essentially the urbanised area. My district's a single-member delegate district. We have Raleigh County's kind of cut into several different pieces, but I've got the part of it that's basically the city of Beckley, plus a couple of precincts that run out. But basically, the urbanised area of Raleigh County is my community, and so I'm the delegate for Beckley as opposed to the 30th district. I like to refer to myself in that way.
Right. So you have quote-unquote big city problems in a way.
Yes.
I mean, not big, but city problems.
City problems, and we
Yeah.
do, and we have a new university that's re-entered in our community. WVU Tech has moved from Montgomery into Beckley, so we're having a little bit of renewal there. But yeah, we have some of the same issues that you see in bigger cities on a smaller scale, with
Right.
folks coming in, and we have transit populations that come into our area, and we're at the intersection of some major freeways. When that helps us economically, Beckley has benefited from that, but it brings all those problems with you. Folks from Detroit and other places that visit us and bring their bad things with them.
Very true. All right, so looking ahead, you were vice chair, minority vice chair of finance. Do you want to stay in that committee? What are your hopes?
I've really enjoyed getting
Yeah.
to understand the way in which government is funded and works, and I really found my feet there, and I hope to be able to continue to serve in that capacity, or in a greater capacity in that committee. I think that, my father told me that if you want to understand something, understand how the money works. So
Follow the
Follow
money,
the money,
right?
So, and
Right.
really, you see where people spend their money. That's what their priorities are. So money doesn't make you happy, but the lack of it can sure make you miserable. And we've been pretty miserable around here in West Virginia the last couple of years. So I'm hopeful that we can steer some resources. We can make some investments in education, make some investments particularly in higher education. We can make some investments in treatment, and improve the health of West Virginians.
I must say that Australia's loss is West Virginia's
Well,
gain.
you're very kind, but I wouldn't. I could be anywhere in the world. I really could. And my wife and I came here because we didn't have any particular plans, but we thought we'd stay until we found somewhere else, and we never did because we just love it here.
That's that's a great note to end on. Mick Bates, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Delegate, for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
And that wraps up this portion of Meet the Leaders, special edition from the State Capitol building in West Virginia. I'm Dara Wells, and we'll see you next time.